everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Hanukkah Erotica Book Club. I'm Raizel, and I'm joined by my stepsister and co-host, Malya. Hi, Mal.
Hi.
You know, I was listening to another podcast, and I realized that podcasts often start with a little, description of who they are.
Oh, that's true, right? They always have,
it's like
a standard little spiel, right?
Like, welcome to Hanukkah Erotica Book Club, where we read and review Jewish romance books. So you don't have to, but also read with us. I'll do better.
Right. I feel like so you don't have. We've gone through different phases with so you don't have to. We'll workshop it, but I like the idea.
Yeah, it's like we'll start that for season 3.
Totally, that's a great idea.
We'll workshop it now, but yeah, where we read and review Jewish romance novels is for sure. Maybe that's it, period.
Where we read and review Jewish romance novels. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I like it. We're here. We're here doing that.
We are.
Yep.
So I'm really excited. And today we will be talking about a book called Meets Goy by Aviva Gat. But before we do, let's catch up.
Yes, let's catch up. Okay, so the last batch, I think we last recorded, we had gotten through Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, but we still had Sukkot ahead of us. Is that accurate? Right. So now...
And Simchat Torah, yeah.
Right, exactly. So now that's all said and done.
The Chagim.
The Chagim have concluded. I honestly, my overwhelming feeling is just that I need a break from my children.
It's a lot of days.
It's just a lot. It's been a lot of time. I mean, it's all very nice and lovely and quality, but it's a lot.
I have bad news.
What?
About next year's calendar.
Oh, no.
It's worse.
Don't tell me. Really?
Midweek? I think it's worse. Maybe I'm wrong because maybe the 3-day Yontif is what's so hard.
No, I hear you, because it's like then you finish the 2 days, you have like a day, and then you're back into Shabbat, and then it's the same thing again.
And the weekend.
I think that every year, whatever it is, I think is the harder one.
Yeah, but I think it's definitely worse.
That's worse.
It's like Tuesday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah, because also it's a lot more days off of work, which is frustrating.
I know.
Yeah. Okay, well, I have a whole year before I have to think about that.
You do. It's so much, we've talked about this before, but the Jewish calendar, there's just so much material.
There is, and Sukkot is a really sexy holiday.
It's crazy sexy. I mean, not in my observance of Sukkot. Like, my in-laws' sukkah is the least sexy sukkah you've ever seen.
Oh, no. Why?
It's like they literally make it with it seems like insulated walls from Home Depot. Like there's a working door.
Like what is? Oh,
it's
really
like
hardcore.
the opposite. It's like it looks like the foundation of a house. You know when the house is about to be built?
Yeah, but what is it? Cement? Like what? What do you mean?
Like wood paneling, but
wow.
It looks like a construction site. And there's something about the kind of random mattress in the corner, because sometimes people like to sleep in it. Maybe that is sexy, but
that could be sexy. I mean, whatever, depending on the context.
Yes, and coupled with the kind of, I don't know, cobbled together crazy walls.
Right.
It doesn't feel sexy.
Right. It's not giving that autumnal, one with nature vibe.
No, at one point I was like, I fear the kids don't know we're outside right now. And also it was the first, I don't know, when I was there on Shabbos, so the 3rd day of the holiday.
Right.
And it was gorgeous out.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like no one here knows how nice it is out. It's Sukkot. Everyone should know how gorgeous it is out.
Right, but you're in an insulated,
do you guys know? Yeah, we're they're like, no, we know. Look up. Because the ceiling, you can kind of still see through. You're supposed to see through it.
Of course.
But
don't you feel the weather? I mean, there isn't a heater. It's not
I don't know. It felt like we were indoors.
Interesting.
Yeah. But yes, Sukkot's a very sexy holiday, and there could be more written about that.
I also kind of forgot that Simchat Torah is a huge singles Jewish thing.
Were you reminded this year in some kind of capacity?
I was reminded only because we went down to South New Jersey for the last days and we were thinking about like if we should invite anyone. And William was like, well, we're not going to invite any single people because like no one's going to want to be with like us and our 4 kids like in a random house in the middle of rural nowhere for Simchat Torah. And then I was like,
When
oh,
they could
right,
be dripping with sweat dancing around a shul.
yeah, well, they could be like seeing and being seen. You know what I mean? And then I was like, oh, right, of course. Like people like fly into the Upper West Side for Simchat Torah. Like I just forgot about that whole thing. It's so fun.
So much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really fun time. But I wonder, does it exist everywhere? Like, I don't know. Maybe it does exist. It just seemed very specific. But I guess it exists everywhere. Brooklyn, Upper West Side, every other part of the world, probably. It was
I think
really
in
fun.
cities it does. I mean, I
Yeah.
think in cities
Yeah.
it probably does.
Yeah,
I mean,
Israel.
nowhere's like New York, but I think Israel, right?
Well, I got a hot tip about a town that had an Orthodox Jewish swinger scene, and it was the same town I had
Oh,
heard about.
really? Are you not going to share what town it
No, it
is?
was the same town I had heard about. No, I can't share.
You
But
can't
I
share the
don't
name
think
of the
I can.
town? Oh,
I
come
don't
on.
think so. I think I don't know that I can.
Just the town?
It's a small Jewish town. I think I'd be outing people.
Okay. I respect your boundaries.
But anyway, the hot tip that I got the tip about was the same town I had discussed on the podcast. So it's not like people were writing in being like, there is an Orthodox Jewish swingers scene and it's this and here and it's here and it's there. Like, yeah.
Right. I guess
I mean-
wait, but you didn't hear it from the same person who told you originally. Like this is
No.
a separate source. I see.
Yeah,
Wow.
separate source.
Okay, wow. Okay. Well, if that's 2 independent sources, that seems somewhat credible.
Independent but connected. I mean, we don't have that many listeners.
Of course. What do you say? Right. Well, right. I mean, connected, of course. How many people know about Jewish swinging scenes and Orthodox swinging scenes in general,
exactly.
right? I was going to say, we didn't talk about like Orthodox or frum-ish people who are ethically non-monogamous, which I think is like a separate but adjacent thing.
I think ethically non-monogamous and swinging / polyamory might be actually synonyms.
No, because
because in the whole thing, he was saying in the book, in Olive Days,
yes,
her husband was like, it's halachic because we're all in agreement, which is basically saying we're like ethical non-monogamy is that they're all in agreement.
Ethical non-monogamy is that both people in the couple are in agreement. And they can then pursue sexual, whatever they've agreed to, whatever the
Yes.
rules are that they've created, they're allowed to pursue
Yes.
other relationships in that context. But it doesn't necessarily involve swapping. I think it's the swinging I thought was
Yeah, you're right. The swapping.
adds a swapping element to it.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying. You're right.
So I've never heard about from people who have done swinging, but I have heard about some or at least like from-ish people who are ethically non-monogamous.
Right. I see. And public about it.
And public about it. Yeah, yeah. Exactly.
Cool. I want a book about that.
Yeah. That
Ask
could be
them to write it.
Okay. There's spare time.
They're so much busier than us, though. because
Exactly.
they're
All that is very time consuming.
So time consuming.
Totally. They have to be maintaining their own primary relationship. They have to be dating. And then they also, I feel like
Oh my God.
all that stuff also involves a lot of like talking about like, how are you? How am I? How are the rules?
Oh,
How
there's
is
a lot. That's why I know I keep bringing up this book, but in that book more about the open relationship. But I told you it was kind of Jewish Park Slope mom. Exhausting amounts of talking and analyzing the relationship and how do you feel and getting together and breaking up and processing. Woof.
Totally. My friend who is a Park Slope mom, like, got referred by her friend to like some group that does like sex parties, I guess, like at people's
Mhm.
houses, not swinging, but just like group sex parties. And it's like a closed group. So you need to be referred by someone who
Mhm.
who's in the group. And then you have an interview. So she did a Zoom interview. And I was like, what was that like?
What were the questions?
And what were you like? What did you wear? Like, And she said basically the whole thing was like not even so many questions, but just them explaining the rules and her having to agree to all the rules.
Mhm.
And even like they have written rules and there's like a hidden word in the middle that they have to, then they ask you to tell them to make sure that you in fact thoroughly read through all the rules.
Oh, by the way, this hidden word thing is a great idea because no one reads my work emails. This is giving me a great idea for a completely unrelated, non-sexy thing. But
Totally. You
I
should
feel like I
bury a
should put in
word.
bury a word and be like,
Like at
right
a
back with the
staff
word.
meeting, out everyone, like ask everyone to share the word, and everyone who doesn't is publicly humiliated. It's a good management.
Is that a good way to lead?
It's excellent. But anyway, she said a lot of the rules are all about like consent, like that even basically like, of course, like everything needs overt consent, but then even like if someone approaches you at the party and asks to engage with you in some way and you say like, no, I'm not interested or whatever, and then they come up to you and ask you again a second time,
They're out.
you have to tell on them. Like you are
Yeah,
obligated to tell on them.
that's it.
So,
You're out.
you know, right, there's a lot of rules.
You cannot talk to me twice.
No, can't talk twice. Exactly. So it's like a hyper. So, I mean, I don't know. That's kind of interesting.
Okay, also, I feel like a lot of the rules are about confidentiality, anonymity. If
Right.
you see
Totally.
someone, because also it's like they all know each other. You're like at the PTA meeting and then you're at the sex party.
Totally. There's got to be some overlap
Then the
there.
next day you're selling cookies
Right. You're at the
for the
election
PTA
bake sale. You're at
sale.
the sex party. Right. Totally. That's true.
You're trick-or-treating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're in your family costume. You see each other, but then you're at the sex party. You
Right.
can't be like, oh, hey, what'd you think of that episode of whatever that we just talked about?
Totally. You can't be like, wow, that bake sale, we made a lot. Like, no. I
No,
imagine she didn't actually bring that part of it up. But I wonder what the rules are around that.
I think those rules are serious.
Right. Yeah. I'm
If
gonna
I were to
follow
be
up it.
making those rules.
Yeah.
But yeah, the consent makes a ton of sense. Safe words, I guess.
But even someone approaching you twice, like that's
I'm going to start telling on people. No one talks to me. But it's like hilarious. Like I think about like how many times I ask my kids to do things.
sure. Oh, right. Oh my
Like
God.
bedtime, put on shoes, whatever the thing is.
Of course.
It's like I'm telling on you.
Right,
You
right,
said
right.
it
You
twice.
asked me twice. Oh, totally. Oh, well, my kids turn things I say to them on me all the time. It's so infuriating.
Yeah. It's, it's like the kind of thing where it's like it means that like cognitively they're really bright, but it's like as a parent it's a pain in the ass.
Oh my God, totally.
You know.
Oh, tonight I
Yeah,
was
it's
like
hard.
saying something at dinner and Sammy was like to me, just mommy, when you talk and there's a lot of other noise, it just kind of adds to the noise. So just maybe wait a minute. And I was just like, oh my God.
I had a thing where, like, a year ago, a parent told me that when their kid asks them something over and over, the same thing over and over, which is the opposite of what I just said, then the parent is like asked and answered. Like if they had answered the question, the parent's like asked and answered. So I'm like, I'm going to try that. Vinny asked me the same question twice. I said asked and answered. She was like, what? That is rude. What did you just say? I was like, you know what? You're right. That is rude. That's a rude thing. To asked and answered is rude.
Asked and answered
Another
is
parent,
is a thing you say in a courtroom. Like if
it should be-
somebody's
yeah,
asking a witness something, you say objection, asked and answered. So that's like
yeah. Well, I
weird.
guess this parent was like
That parent might
asked
be
and answered.
right, bringing some terminology home with them. That's funny. If it worked, listen, I'm totally in the whatever.
For sure, if it works.
If that worked, that would be great. But I just don't see it working.
It absolutely didn't with us, but he was like, that is a rude thing to say. What are you talking about? I'm like, you're right. Never mind. It'll
There you
never
go.
happen again.
Right.
We did get some feedback about Olive Days. I guess someone, a friend of Jonathan's who lives in LA, lives on the West Coast, was like, tell your friends that I'm really enjoying their episode of Olive Days. But also, I think she thought it was really funny that we were like, we've heard of Pico.
We're like so East Coast. We have no idea what's going on out there. Yeah, it's true.
I said I was there once. I ate at the deli.
Right.
But we
Right.
knew nothing of the community.
We really didn't.
But yeah,
That's
I
funny.
thought that was
Yeah,
funny.
that seems pretty
Yeah.
myopic, I guess. It's fun.
Well, I'm really glad that they liked the episode. Another little bit of feedback we got was that Ruthie, our friend, had not listened for a little while, and she wanted to give us the update that, in case we were wondering, it is still highly bingeable if you've missed a few episodes, and then you can catch up. It's very
Oh,
fun to binge
so
on
sweet.
it,
Thanks,
which
Ruthie.
is
That's
great.
really nice.
Yeah,
That's the ultimate
that's really
compliment,
nice.
I think. Fun to
I know.
binge. Yeah,
I know.
that's great.
The other ultimate compliment was when we first started, and we had people missing subway stops.
Yes, I remember that.
That was good.
That's huge. Totally. That's a
Yeah,
big deal.
yeah. Well, we read a few not romance books, not
We did.
romantic books,
Yes,
by
very much
accident,
so.
I'd say.
Right. Right. We
But
reasonably misinterpreted the genre.
but we're back.
We're back. They were solidly back in romance territory. And
We're back.
actually what was cute was my mom, who's also a listener to this podcast, I gave her a preview of what this book was, the gist of what this book was about, like a girl choosing between, a Jew and a Jewish boy who she's not so into and a non-Jewish boy who she's more into. This is before I had even read the book. And my mom has become like a Gene Meltzer fan because of us. And she
cool.
read Mr. Perfect on paper, and she said that it's a similar plot.
Oh,
like that's
we haven't read. That's the one Gene Meltzer book
that we haven't read.
That's the one I haven't read.
Yeah,
I've read every other Gene Meltzer book. Cool.
Yeah, so I was thinking like we could add that to our list and do a. I mean, it's on our list anyway, but like do a little compare and contrast.
I'd love to. Before we start, well, we've skipped our Jonah Platt segment, but we should get to it at some point maybe.
Absolutely.
But I don't have listen, I don't have a ton to say, but he does. I've listened to his podcast.
Oh, you listened to it?
I listened. He just, and then also I reached out on our podcast account and I was like, I listened and I think we need to get a reunion. And he wrote back that he agreed.
Oh,
but he's busy until December. So I am hoping that we could have a quick Jonah Platt reunion, even if it's not a full episode, whatever. Like, I think we need to touch base.
Absolutely. So much has happened.
Just so much has happened. Like, since he was in that movie and just like joined us on Zoom that night.
Yeah.
He's coming to New York to record a few episodes. Come on.
I really feel like his status as a Jew has like really
100%.
blown up. I mean, he was always
100%.
pretty Jewy, but it's reached another level, I think.
I really, really, really want to talk to him. So
Great.
I really hope that happens in December. Listen, listeners, don't get too excited. He's out there. He's advocating on behalf of Israel, the Jewish people.
Oh
He doesn't want talking about Judaism to be like nerdy or corny. He wants it to be cool. And he just, come on.
Totally. He's political. It's impressive.
It is. Okay. So one thing I wanted to say about Girl Meets Goy by Aviva Gat before we get started is that I noticed that she has a book coming out called We Will Dance Again. That is the first fiction October 7th Jewish, possibly romance.
Oh my God.
And she's Israeli American. And so American Israeli. And I just can't believe that she's writing that. I feel like something I read was that it was her way of processing everything that happened on October 7th and since. I really want to read it, even though it seems like a hard read.
Right.
And I don't know what direction she's going to take it in, but this is light.
This was very light and fun.
And there's a sequel coming out like in a week.
I saw it's kind of a cliffhanger, the end.
I know, because at first when you said you hadn't finished it, I almost wrote you back like you're probably 2 pages away from finishing it. You just don't realize it yet.
Yeah. It ends a little abruptly. Yeah. I don't think I was 2 pages away from, but I did finish it, and yes, it's a cliffhanger.
And so there is a sequel that comes out in I think a couple days, honestly.
Oh wow!
I think I have to read it. I gotta know what happens. But okay, so in Girl Meets Goy, this I would call like new adult. We haven't read a ton of new adult. There's like YA is young adult. That's like all the high school books, and then new adult is this genre of. Sorry if I'm like explaining something everybody knows, but it's like a genre of romance that's like post college. It could be college, but it's like early 20s. It's new adult, but it's always romance.
Great. No, I'm glad that you said that because at certain points I was like, this feels a little YA-esque, but they're not, they're adults. So,
New
but
adult.
yeah,
It feels like that.
yeah,
It
it
has that
totally,
feel.
how did it feel?
It has that feel
Oh,
often.
yeah, yeah,
New
yeah, it
adult,
does.
yes.
Absolutely.
I mean, also, I think part of why I felt that way is that we have Leah, and she just moved to New York City,
Right.
and she is this like the early days. It's not like she just moved to New York City in her 30s. Like she just moved to New York City fresh out of college.
Right. Post college.
There's a giddiness to her, but she does have some flashbacks about high school and her high school boyfriend. So those really do feel very YA.
Right.
And we have a whole kind of subculture of the Jewish community in this book that feels like super sexy and very fun and very romantic that we haven't really had in the other books, which is the youth group.
Totally. Yes. That was really interesting to me. So that, do you have experience with youth groups in high school?
Okay. No, other than envy and wanting to be a part of one.
Okay.
But there was this, but I know you worked for one, so I was curious like what those were like, and if because hers was BBYO
Right.
and yours was NCSY that you worked for, which are
Yes.
from two different like denominations of Judaism.
Is BBYO? I thought they were unaffiliated.
Oh, I thought Oh, is that right? I thought BBYO was the Reform movement.
I thought it's like sort of not, I thought it was not affiliated with
Okay,
anything.
fact checking this right now.
Great, good. I
But
appreciate
I
that.
thought BBYO, oh yeah, you're right. BBYO is the leading pluralistic Jewish teen movement aspiring to involve more Jewish teens in meaningful. Okay, so it's not affiliated. BBYO is not affiliated. NCSY is,
Yes.
and USY is, which is the conservative youth group.
Right.
And there was like a phenomenon in my life whereby being raised in such a Jewish town, my family felt less, I think, of a need to put me in certain programs that I
Sure.
think are really cool for families and young kids and teens when they don't have as much access. Except that like that seemed really fun to me because social outlets other than my high school group, like that was very nice. Like the idea of that was always very appealing and nice. And BBAO convention and like the dances and all that stuff that she gets to, like she talks about in the book,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like hearing that described to me as a high schooler, I knew how much fun that would be and I would have liked it.
Totally.
Did NCSY have that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, NCSY is orthodox and it is kind of focused on sort of encouraging kids to become more observant. So there's a little bit of like a kiruv element to it, even though it's like,
Right.
it's orthodox, but it's not necessarily all kids from orthodox families that go. It's some kids from orthodox families, but then it's some kids who are sort of like being like having kiruv done on them as teenagers, basically.
Right.
Which is sort of an interesting dynamic
And,
there,
and
but
totally different. Totally different.
totally different. But it
Than
is. It does have a
BBYO.
lot of the same. What you're saying about having like an outlet of a friend group that isn't your school friend group, who you can kind of like see on weekends, and like the big like spring weekend away Shabbat away was like at a sleepaway camp that you would like all go to in the spring and like kind of turn it into like NCSY
So fun.
camp for a weekend. Like that's very fun. That's just fun.
Was the annual Six Flags trip that I went on over Chol Hamoed Pesach NCSY? Because I feel like it was.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think that that was basically just like their fundraiser. Like they made a ton of, I don't know how they managed to do it, but they had some special deal with the theme park where they, I think like paid them a flat
Had a
rate to rent
buyout.
the park and then got all the ticket sales and they would just they would clean up. But because there was
I see.
no NCSY specific programming there. It was just like a day at Six Flags where
Just
everybody
a
was Jewish.
takeover.
Yeah, but that was so fun. Like you would see everybody you knew from like every camp you ever went to and every whatever, every other Jewish
So
teen.
much fun.
Yeah,
It was,
you would get like
and
a
it would
hot
have been
dog
even
on a
more fun if I was
matzah.
involved. Like
Right.
other than that day, like I did go on that trip every year, but or at least a couple. So I didn't
Also
have
for
the
me, that was like a big time to because I like grew up in a frum community. That was like the time where everyone would kind of like do their like public transgressive things that would like if you were
Oh yeah, you mentioned this.
like there was one year that I wore a tube top. I infamously wore a tube top.
Yes, to
Like
the
when I was
park.
like to the park for the day, I swear to you, people knew me as like the girl who wore a tube top to Six Flags for like a decade.
Incredible. Incredible.
Like it was,
What color was it?
it was blue and sparkly. It was like blue
Oh, is
metallic.
it blue like Michael Starr sparkly? Was it Michael Starr? Maybe it was the shiny, sparkly tube top of the um, late 90s or early aughts?
It was that time period. I don't know if it
Hmm.
was Mike. I feel like it was from Urban Outfitters.
Okay, no. And did you wear a strapless bra with it, or were there straps? What was happening?
Strapless bra. Oh, please. I
Yeah,
went
yeah,
all the way.
fully strapless.
Fully strapless. I felt great. I was just acting all casual, like, yeah, this is me. I wear a tube top, whatever.
With a skirt?
Did I wear a skirt? I don't remember. I don't think so. I think I was with jeans, but jeans weren't like long jeans weren't that big of a deal. There was also like, I remember one boy who came wearing like eyeliner. That was a
Oh,
really
yeah.
big deal.
Right.
Yeah.
The way that Aviva describes the BBYO dances and like describes the feeling of like dancing with your friends as a group of girls and seeing a group of guys and knowing that they're kind of looking at you and you're looking at them and then they look away and then you're kind of looking at them and they kind of walk past you, but then you start talking and then you don't know what to do, but then you kind of keep thinking about them. And then that feeling, the way that that was written was very evocative. Like, I don't know. Like,
Totally. It was so vivid.
I
yeah.
felt like I was there at that dance.
It sounded really
feeling,
fun.
like it was really great. And I just loved the youth group element to this book.
Totally.
Also, the New York City element to the book, like there is interesting. Like this isn't an Orthodox girl moving to the city, like moving to the Upper West Side. This is like a girl who grew up like kind of like culturally Jewish, like
Totally.
observing holidays, like not keeping completely kosher, but like
It feels like a little more than culturally Jewish.
It's like, I don't know. I feel like it was like a third generation Holocaust survivor. So there's
Right.
this like major tie to being Jewish, the idea of needing to marry Jewish, but
Totally.
like definitely like this isn't like a family who's like observing every holiday, going to shul every week. This like public school. I don't know. You're right.
Yeah.
More than culturally Jewish.
I don't know. It
but-
just felt like it wasn't just someone who's like bagels and lox and that's it. Like the mom was active in her synagogue. Like
yeah,
it was-
sisterhood. Yeah.
sisterhood, the Jewish book club, there was a lot. Like she was horrified. I mean, fast forwarding, she was horrified by the suggestion that she might have made her turkey with butter.
Right.
Like horrified.
Right.
So
yeah. Something in the middle.
yeah, something in the middle. I did feel I felt like the New York City stuff was very, if it felt true. Like it felt like, because we were those girls, like as
Yes.
new college graduates.
Eating kosher Indian. We absolutely were.
Eating kosher
loved those
Indian,
Indian
going to
places.
the Chabad Young Professionals events, like what she does at the beginning, like, buying a bunch of groceries and then like half of them go rotten in the fridge and I don't know, just like it felt real to that time. It felt like a good portrayal of that period of life.
Absolutely. The city stuff too. The BBYO, the city. I also like, obviously we've talked about this in every episode. Like we like when a place feels like a real place, and like having lived there, like it for sure did. Like the subway, the people singing on the train, like Showtime, the restaurants, all those events. She even mentions like an FIDF event. Like it's like
yeah.
It really was specific in a way that felt really good.
Totally.
It was so like the thing about so anyway, she meets this guy, like the meet cute is like they meet on the subway, but then they see each other later.
Right.
This guy Gabe, who she really likes, she thinks him is great. He's not Jewish, but the
Right.
thing is, like, she's sort of like in their relationship and getting to know each other, like doesn't really tell him that this is a big deal, which I don't understand that part of their relationship. Like the thing about the relationship with Gabe is like, first of all, like it felt to me like all of the sex and all the intimacy happens off page in this book
Yes.
in a way where it's like almost hard for me to buy that they're even into each other.
Right.
Give me something. It could be PG if she wanted it to be PG, where like you're still feeling like intense chemistry. A hand on a leg. Is there anything sexier than a hand on an upper thigh? No.
Totally.
lower back. Come on, this is all G-rated, but like there wasn't any of that.
Right. There isn't that rich description where you feel like you're getting the sense of the vibe between them.
No, I couldn't get a sense of the vibe between them, except
Right.
that she kept saying how much she liked him.
Yes. But it almost felt like, it was like, and I guess even this seems true to life, but it's like she moved to the city. She didn't really know anyone, and she's like, I need to create a world for myself. And then basically in one night, she meets like the girl who becomes her best friend and the guy who becomes her boyfriend. And they're out. And first they go to a party, and then they go out to Indian food, and they go somewhere else. And like, that felt real. Like everyone's had those
Totally.
nights in the city that kind of go on and have all these chapters. But it almost felt like it was like she was like, I need a boyfriend and a best friend, and I'm going to go out and find them. And here they are. You know what I mean? Like it was just sort of, she
Yes.
decided that he was so great. But like,
You didn't
it felt
see
like she was convincing herself.
exactly. It's like, show me what's so great about him. I'd love to know because I remember at one point it's very clear that he doesn't want kids, but she definitely does. So like, is it he's so great, but like definitely doesn't want something you absolutely want? Or maybe she's so young it doesn't matter at all. I don't know. But he didn't seem as great to me as she kept saying he was the whole time.
Totally. And she kept
I
saying,
think
well, I think she thought maybe he would change his mind about the kids, which seems like
right.
naive,
That but
but
also
also,
obvious, like for sure normal for someone then.
yeah,
That
yeah,
makes sense to me. But then she brings him home for Thanksgiving.
yes,
And she's not told her family that he's not Jewish. And she's not told him that it might be a big deal when they learn this, if and when they
yes,
learn this
yes.
information. What?
No, that was a crazy thing to do. I don't know. She just set herself up for a disaster. Like, what did she think was going to happen?
It's so weird. It's like, of course, I'm not a dum-dum. Like, there has to be conflict in a book. I get it. That's probably why it happened to have conflict in the book. Maybe. Like, there could be conflict and you're still prepared.
Right,
I don't
exactly.
know.
There's so many
It's
different
almost
ways to
mean.
set up the conflict around, like that would seem more sort of true to life. Like she could have been like, "You can't come for Thanksgiving," I mean, that could have been the conflict. Or
Right.
her mom could have said, "No, you can't bring a non-Jew for Thanksgiving," and then that could have been I mean, there's so many different ways to slice
Right.
it.
So he comes home for Thanksgiving. It's not great.
Right.
And then fast forward to a family wedding
Well, because she
where
realized that basically the mom and dad realized in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner that the guy who they assumed, understandably, was Jewish isn't. And they
right.
just can't really recover.
They can't recover. But also, it's like, I almost like resent that the family is kind of made out to seem like they're being judgmental or bigoted in some way for not accepting it. Because it's like, if you know this is an important value to your family, they may accept him. They might say, you're welcome to be at our table. Like we love our daughter Leah, and we're going to welcome whoever she brings home. And maybe in their heart of hearts, they hope he converts, or maybe in their heart of hearts, they hope they break up. I don't know. But either way, they need to be prepared to know this is the thing so they could be comfortable. So it's like, it's almost so not nice on her part because then he's made to feel uncomfortable. He feels
Totally.
like crap. It's just like so yucky and kind of ugly. And it also like portrays the Jewish parents in such a crappy way. Like at first he mentions butter on the turkey. She's like, oh, like you must have been like pretty reformed, which is like such a weird thing to say.
Totally.
But I don't know. It's like the whole thing was kind of yucky. I felt like it was a little hard to read. And then later at a family wedding,
This was the
the
worst.
the Holocaust survivor grandma is like, "Oh, what's your last name?" He says Russo, his Italian last name. She makes a comment about like how there aren't that many Italian Jews. And
Right.
then soon after, she kind of like blows up, says she knows. She knew all along from the second she met him at a wedding. He's embarrassed.
He like walks out and then she does, and then the grandmother like pulls up her sleeve, shows her like tattooed concentration camp number, and is like, this is what non-Jews did to us. Like,
Yeah.
okay. Which like, I don't know if that's supposed to, sorry, like I don't know if that's supposed to be funny, like it's so over the top, or like a stereotype, or like is that just supposed to be like a very sort of one-dimensional representation of what like a Holocaust survivor grandparent would be like?
That's what I think it is, because here's like, there were things about this book I liked, and like there, and I'm going to read the next one. Like I really want to understand what happens in the Goy next door. I'm going to read the book,
Right?
but and I really think it's cool that she wrote a book called, about October 7th. Like I really want to know what
Yeah.
that's all about. So it's like
Yeah.
I'm an Aviva Gat fan and I'm interested. So, but the thing is like I don't think this, because like the thing of like, is this supposed to be funny? Is like this book didn't feel funny
No,
to
no, it
me.
didn't. You're right, it didn't. There were a couple funny things, like, okay, the high school, we haven't even mentioned that she has this high school boyfriend from BBYO, but she was reflecting on how much her parents sort of just unconditionally loved the high school
Yeah.
boyfriend because he was just a Jew, like a nice Jew, and how the mom like needle pointed him a pillow that said, "If you will it, it is no dream" on it. I thought that that was funny. That made me chuckle. That's funny. So there were like some stereotypical, like some like jokey stereotypical things that I thought were cute and funny.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I did think she was trying to play on that in a way that sometimes worked, but then sometimes it was just over the top.
Right. Um, right. So she has this boy, she had a boyfriend all through high school, and then he pops back in.
Yes.
They see each other at the matzo ball.
The matzo ball. That was cute, but that was that there was scenes at the matzo ball.
Yeah. A fun night. So they see each other there. He
I never went.
obviously
Did you
still,
go?
yeah, I went.
Was it fun?
Do you know Bianca once got a misconnection from the matzo ball?
No,
Like a
that's so
Craigslist
cute.
misconnection from the matzo ball. That was
And
like,
and
you
she
were at,
read it?
yeah, someone sent it to her. It's like,
Wow.
you were at the matzo ball. We met on the stairs. You said your name was Bianca. XYZ happened. I thought you were cute.
And did she meet up with the guy?
Let me follow up on that, but I think she definitely emailed at the very
Right.
least, like responded to the Craigslist misconnection.
Wow, that's a good story.
I loved misconnections. Is that still a thing?
I don't know. I feel like Craigslist is
I
now
gotta
the
fact check
purview of
that
like
also.
murderers, and I don't know. Like Craigslist is a waste. Isn't a Craigslist like a wasteland now? I don't know. It might be. Those were fun. And do you remember there
No,
was
but
that short-lived website almostmetjew.com
oh yeah,
that was just misconnections for Jews?
was that like a William thing? I feel like that pun is like very William coded.
No.
Was that his website?
I wish. I loved that website. It was like, saw you at the Israeli Day Parade on the corner of 5th and 72nd. You were wearing a black long skirt.
I think that.
Saw you at Blockbuster, Motzi Shabbos in Muncie.
Wait, misconnections is still like the thing,
Oh, great.
but some of it is woven in with the purview of pervs and murders. So
Right.
I wouldn't say it's like as active as it was
It's not-
17 years ago.
No, I doubt it. Its heydays past.
But like Manhattan-bound M train.
Oh,
Keep
wow.
catching glances, me standing, you sitting, I got off before you at 23rd. I liked your high ponytail and the split ends you were playing with. Tell me what you had with you.
What?
Like he wants you to verify that he knows that it's her. Like,
Oh,
I had a,
Oh, like he's gonna
I
get
had
all
a
these.
suitcase with
Like he's
me.
gonna get all these women who are pretending to be that person.
Yeah. I had a bowling ball with me.
That's funny. It's like if you find money on the street or something. But like,
Yeah, describe the jewelry.
yeah, exactly. Like, no, you weren't really
But
on
then
that
there's
M
like
train.
something that the woman, the F train going to Queens. We've seen one another on the F train going to Queens. I'm the guy. I hope our fans like that I've totally pivoted here to reading Craigslist misconnections from 2024.
I like it.
We've seen one another on the F train going to Queens. I'm the guy with the Mets hat on. I'm 6'5", 65, 5'6", average weight with semi-long blonde hair and blue eyes. You, I guess, you're in your 50s, about 5'1", curly body with shoulder-length brown hair and gorgeous brown eyes. We was definitely checking each other out and made eye contact a few times. I was with a couple of friends and wanted to say hi. We both got off at 71st and went our separate ways. I'm hoping you see this and would like to meet for coffee. Can you get back to me?
That's cute. Hope she
TJ's.
does
Oh,
see
someone
it.
met at the Trader Joe's. Let's see. Your
Oh.
long brown hair, my ponytail. Sense there might have been attraction early Tuesday afternoon, but I got lost in my head what to do. That's the Trader Joe's Forest Hills. No details. Who the fuck's going to figure that one out?
Seriously.
Come on, people.
That's ridiculous.
Details.
Yeah.
Redhead Greek guy in Greek food truck. I was walking last week and looking at menu on food truck. I never purchased food at the truck. You were working in the truck preparing the food. You're a broad-shouldered Caucasian Greek guy with red hair and full beard. You're very handsome and you looked at me. I was walking with an older friend. I'm a Latin guy, late 30s. I'm interested in getting together. I hope this works out for them.
But he should just go back to that food truck. Like that seems
If
like
he's working there, just like go back and find
go
him.
back and find him. You don't have to post this. That seems weird.
Redheaded Greek guy.
Wow.
Spoke to you on Bell Boulevard. Am I in Queens? Am I in the specific Queens
It
Craigslist
sounds
section?
like you might be in Queens Craigslist.
Lifetime Natural Market, West Village. No, I wasn't.
Oh, okay.
Queens is just still stuck in.
Queens
13
is
years
20
ago.
years behind every other
Exactly.
borough. I do find.
We
yes.
locked eyes and we were both standing outside for a few minutes. I guess you were shy. Come on. No one's going to find these.
That's ridiculous.
Come on. Okay, anyway,
Okay.
Craigslist is still alive and well.
Okay, I'm putting that on my web browsing circuit.
Yeah, it's still alive and well.
Almost
and,
Met Jew is defunct. I'll just, if anyone felt the need to look it up, don't bother.
Okay, what about Only Simchas? That was basically pre-Facebook.
That was Facebook. I doubt it's, I think maybe they are a Facebook account now, but I don't think they exist as a website.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, we really digress. But matzo ball, she runs into Asher, her Jewish ex, the matzo ball.
Yes.
Fast forward to the wedding where Gabe storms out and they basically never talk again. That's
Right.
how they broke up.
But he's basically like, you keep doing the same stupid shit to me where you don't tell me that your family are going to be really upset that I'm not Jewish. And then I'm in an awkward situation when I'm on Gabe's side, to be honest with you.
Oh, absolutely. This is a mishandled situation. If you are the kind of person whose family cares about whatever culture you are, and you bring the person home, they need to be prepared. It's a big deal if X. It's a big deal if Y. They need to be prepared.
Right. And she did it more than once, like the same thing.
You can't just bring Gabe to a wedding with your
Holocaust survivor grandmother.
with your Holocaust survivor grandma who expects you to be with a Jewish boy. And also, I do think it's like part of her story and part of her identity is like that she always kind of anticipated that she would be. Like,
Yeah.
if you're in an interfaith relationship, you have to communicate with that person about what that signifies to you, to your family, to your identity. By the way, I happen to know from listening to Jonah Platt's podcast that on his very first date with his wife, who's a convert, he was like, I like you and I think you like me. I'm paraphrasing here, people. Listen to his podcast called Being Jewish with Jonah Platt. But on the very first date, he was like, is converting in the cards for you?
Wow. Yeah, no, that's, I mean, not that I needed more confirmation of this, but Jonah Platt did it exactly right.
He's not going to bring his wife Courtney to Ben Platt's wedding, a Jewish wedding, and to meet Julie Platt, who's like the head of UJA, his mom.
Right, and just be like, oh
and
yeah,
then
this
she's
is
going to be
Courtney.
like butter,
Right.
butter. This is Courtney, butter and chicken.
Where's the prosciutto in this spread? Like, no.
No.
Right, that
He's
would be
going to
terrible.
explain how important his Jewish identity is to him, is converting in the cards.
Right.
Jonah Platt did it right. Anyway, Leah in this book didn't. Super bizarre. If this is based in reality, I don't even believe it. I don't
But
think
this is where I like that you explained that there's this genre of new adult, because it does feel like she's just grappling with the fact that her whole life she's just mostly been surrounded by Jews by default. That was her social sphere. And now she's sort of like, do I actually care about this? Or is this just something that was kind of thrust on me? And I think that she's struggling to figure that out and made like a stupid, selfish mistake with a boyfriend, which seems about right for being like 22 or 3 or whatever.
Absolutely. You know what? You're totally right about that.
Like she was wrong, but it's believable. I think like it's believable that someone would do this.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
But she didn't really learn a lesson. Like her lesson at the end is basically like, well, I guess he's not for me.
Yeah, I think there should have been more reflection on like putting him in that situation.
Yeah,
because it's not just about him not being Jewish. It's actually about her not
being thoughtful,
being honest about who she is. Actually, her identity less than his identity.
Right.
But then she's ice skating. Also, there's a whole like work colleague thing.
Right.
There's just
and
like the work colleagues and whatever. There's a whole world there that we're not getting into. But there was a ice skating party. Asher's there, the ex.
Yeah.
She gets hurt. They're in an ambulance. He stays by her side the whole time.
She
And
also
the book
kisses
kind of
one of her work. Doesn't she kiss one of her work colleagues
yeah,
in the elevator after the holiday party? Which also like
yeah,
could have been a hot scene, but wasn't really because nothing's described.
yeah. I would love this book rated higher. I want
Rated
more
higher, like
sexy.
sexier.
I want
Yeah,
more flames.
totally.
I want more flame. I want it rated several fire emojis.
Like
Like
holiday
y-
party, kiss in the elevator with a colleague who there's been like long-standing sexual tension.
seriously,
Like that's
talk
good.
dirty, so hot.
Yeah,
But it wasn't because all of the romance, sex, intimacy, kissing, physical stuff, sex, all of it happened off page. She
right,
was having sex with Gabe. You wouldn't know it. Like, I needed more.
right. Agreed. Agreed. That could have also just fleshed out for you what
Their
made their
connection.
connection so strong. Right, exactly. Yes.
Is there pillow talk? What are they learning about each other? What are they super attracted to each other? Maybe that was it. Maybe like that was so hot. The chemistry was so off the charts. Okay, that's more believable.
Right.
But I
I
don't know.
also did like the
So
drama. She had a whole thing with her roommate where like it was a friend that also felt very believable to me. Like you get set up with someone as a roommate, they're a friend of a friend. Either like you really hit it off and you become best friends and it's awesome, or it's like you really don't and it's sort of like an awkward no man's land where everyone just kind of holes up in their rooms and ignores each other. I've been in both of those situations.
right, right.
So I
Yeah, I
like
loved all
that.
that stuff.
Yeah.
I loved all that stuff for
Yeah.
sure. Um, it was.
Right.
I totally did for sure all of it. I just like I want I wanted it to be hotter.
Totally.
I feel like the whole Gabe thing was an ick. He wasn't the way that it was handled, and then like even the Asher connection was hard to fully pinpoint. Like he did seem like a good guy who was really there for her and like a little bit on her page.
Yeah. But even that almost seemed like a bad, like sort of a stereotypical Jewish thing. Like I thought the whole thing with they sort of grew out of each other, her and Asher, and they were sort of kids together, but then wasn't feeling it for him as an adult, and then it was just sort of like, well, he's stable and he's still friends with all my BBYO friends, and he's here for me when I break my arm, so maybe I should be with him. But that's also sort of like a isn't that kind of a stereotype of a Jewish guy kind of being sort of dependable but kind of I don't know dull?
Maybe, but the thing is that whole thing also feels believable. Like being 22, breaking an arm, and like a guy staying with you in the ambulance and then sitting by your side in the hospital.
And you're like,
A
I love him,
22-year-old.
right? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I love him. He's
yeah,
my husband.
yeah, 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 for sure. That's totally believable.
And this is meant to be because like look at what's happening. Like
Yeah, and look, like he
Gabe
stayed
just
with yeah,
stormed out
absolutely. No, totally. I that's totally believable.
and now here he is by my side.
Totally.
Yeah. I don't like the word goy, so I didn't like that it was called Girl Meets Goy, and I didn't like that her friends were calling him her goy friend.
Right.
But it reminded, like, I just don't like that. That seems derogatory. I'm just not into that.
Right.
Curious what you think. But it reminded me that I also learned on Jonah Platt's podcast that I listened to that Nobody Wants This was initially called shiksa,
Oh.
which is a word that comes up in the show all the time. Also a word I don't like.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't know we can just freely use goy like that. Girl meets goy, goy friend, like shiksa. We're just like recklessly using these words. I didn't know that.
No, totally. I think all those words are politically incorrect and they have like a I guess I could see them like maybe being reclaimed in some way, but to me they have definitely a derogatory tone to them.
Yeah, to me too.
And like
But like,
it,
maybe they don't. Like it just like Gentile, for example, doesn't feel as derogatory. To me, it just feels like it means not Jew, not Jewish.
Gentile.
Am I wrong?
I don't know. I'm not so into Gentile either.
I'm
Because
not
it's just
into it.
right. Non-Jew. What do I put
It's just
with
like
Gentile?
goy friends. Like
Yeah,
that doesn't
yeah.
seem like a nice thing.
No, it doesn't. I think that they were trying to reclaim it by and I think that they were pointing to the fact that she was keeping it a secret from her family. So they were sort of teasing her. But Yeah, I think it.
Actually, I'm curious what. Yeah,
What?
I'm curious what Jonah Platt would think about this because, like, he did marry someone who converted,
Right.
and he does like he is on this podcast talking about like, yeah, like reclaiming some of this, how talking about these things are okay, but that he's talking about Judaism, not talking about non-Judaism. I don't know. I think saying God, I think, but by the way, another thing I learned on that one episode, it was an episode about Nobody Wants This, is that he auditioned for the show when it was called
Oh,
Shiksa. Yeah, yeah,
interesting.
could have been on it. Anyway,
I guess goy is
so
just
yeah,
like it's implying like sort of like not someone who's on the periphery. Like there's us and there's not us, and you're not us. You know what I mean?
if he ever caught wind, imagine being called like your Jew friend, like your Jew, like imagine dating someone non-Jewish and then finding out that that like everyone called you like some
Like the
pun
Jew he's
involving
dating.
Jew.
Yeah, exactly. Like that would be
Like the
horrible.
lady Jew? I don't know what it
Yeah,
would
yeah,
be.
yeah. No,
William
totally.
couldn't come up
No,
with a
it's
much better pun than I could, but like probably immediately right now I'll wait for it patiently in the chat. But like goy, like imagine finding out he was being called a goy friend. Horrible.
right.
Like Cumberjack. Do you remember Cumberjack?
Of course, that was the best. Except for because there isn't like a millennia long history of prejudice against lumberjacks. So it doesn't carry quite the same negative weight.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I am reading the sequel.
Oh, right. Because then at the very end, there's like this plot twist where she wants to get back in touch with him because of some work lead that he could help her with or something, right?
Or like he comes up on a work document and she like sees that it's
Something's
him.
happening. Yeah. I felt a little bit like I know this book was pretty new, but it felt like do you think it's supposed to be set in the present? It honestly, because it still felt like the New York, the Upper West Side of your and my time, and that's not now anymore. Like they didn't seem like they texted, but they didn't seem to like be on. So they didn't talk about social media really. Like I think there was maybe
But
one mention.
I think Facebook came up, but not Instagram.
Yes, there was like one mention of Facebook, and and not any other, nothing else, which is exactly what there was back when we were right out of college.
When we were new adults.
When we were new adults, there was Facebook and nothing else. There was some texting, but not really any other like communicate. That was really the way we communicated through our phones. Right? Like there's no one, I don't know. It felt like if this was today, there'd be a lot more that would be digital or social media based or whatever. Like remember when what was the Going By Coastal? I know that was
That
YA.
felt current.
That felt much more
But it
current.
felt
Like
current.
she saw on the other girl's Instagram that she was watching the same subway band that she loved, and she met her there because she saw her location. Like communicating in that way and being fluid with, I don't know what.
I think you're right that this takes place then.
Then being like 20, like 15 years ago.
Yeah, like between 15. Yeah, I think you're right, but
Yeah.
I don't know for sure.
Right.
But yeah,
Okay.
I think you're right.
Well, I liked that.
Either way, it felt like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, which feels good.
Yeah.
I'm excited to read more from her.
Yeah, I would read the sequel.
I want it hotter and heavier.
Absolutely. Agreed 100%.
Steamy.
That would make it all more fun.
It says, a note from the author. If this is your first book by me, thank you for reading. My novels deal with women's issues, including family, marriage, sisterhood, motherhood, or other complex relationships. I write to tell truths about things that may not have been given light. In recent times, the importance of telling my truth has been amplified. While I'm a women's fiction author, I believe at my core I am a Jewish women's fiction author. At times when others may want to silence Judaism, I will speak loudly about it. I will write about it and hope my books shed some light on today's challenges for my people. Stay tuned for more books. I thank you for your support. And then there's some other things.
Nice.
I was scanning it to see if we might find out that it took place then, in the before times, but
right.
I'm going to read The Goy Next Door, even though I wish it was called something different, because that's the sequel that's coming out soon.
Cool.
And I was wondering if we wanted to pick our next book.
Sure.
Also, we should tell everyone that we have an event coming up live at the Rip Bodice.
Yes. Our annual event. December 12th.
And it's going to be great. We're going to be at the Rip Bodice, not in LA, even though how cool would that be one year?
That would be cool.
In Park Slope.
Yes.
And we can't wait. And we have just decided that we're going to be reading Whisked Away by the Alien, a Jewish Hanukkah curvy girl sci-fi romance.
Love it. Can't wait.
And I'm just so excited.
It's gonna be awesome.
So we're gonna read that. We're gonna read that and talk about that live at the Rip Bodice. We hope to see you there.
Please come.
And for our next book, I was wondering if you wanted to read another Jennifer Wilk book. Jennifer Wilk wrote Home for the Holidays.
Yes.
I think one of the episodes I laughed at most.
That was a good one.
With
I remember a few funny.
Karaoke.
Yep. Classic.
Do, 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 do. And so there's a trilogy called The Perfect Match. The next one, book 2, is The Perfect Secret, and the third is The Perfect Deception.
Huh.
And The Perfect Match came out in May. It's a new book.
Oh.
And do you want to hear the description? Jennifer Wilk's been like a friend of the podcast ever since, and maybe even before we read Home for the Holidays.
So sweet.
Like literally every time I post anything, she reposts it onto her stories. Like she is a real friend. She's a sharer. She really,
nice.
I want to read more from her. So
great.
It says, falling for a busy law student is the last thing Aviva wants. Will her refusal to settle force her to lose the man of her dreams? Aviva Schulman has had enough of the dating scene. High-powered how do you say that word? Financiers?
Financier? Yeah.
High-powered financiers with grueling hours are more interested in earning their bonuses than her love. She wants something more, someone who values her, but her roommates are determined to find her the perfect on-paper match. Jacob Black has no time for relationships. A third-year law student, he's focused on succeeding so he can get his dream job at a top-notch law firm. But his overbearing mother wants him to find someone and settle down. After making their escape from a speed dating event neither one wanted to attend, Jacob and Aviva are thrown together and suddenly making time for a relationship seems impossible. But is 5 minutes long enough to determine a future together? The Perfect Match is the first book of this new adult, contemporary romance with a meet-cute you won't want to miss. Chemistry that will leave you aching for more, and a Jewish mother who will have you laughing at her chutzpah. Buy The Perfect Match and find out exactly how long it takes to fall in love.
That sounds cute.
Oh, The Perfect Match was previously published under the title 5 Minutes to Love. While the core of the story remains the same, it has undergone extensive edits to improve the content and reading experience.
Interesting.
Now I want to read both.
Me too.
Like
That's
the first.
Cool. That's cool that she did that.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So it was a book about speed dating called 5 Minutes to Love.
Okay.
Okay, there must be a lawyer in Jennifer's life because there was a lawyer in Home for the Holidays.
Yeah. I like that lawyer is like the ultimate for like really busy and focused on material success.
But by the way, like I do feel like lawyers and law firms like and law school students, like they are a specific kind of busy. As a former law student, you might agree.
Yeah. No, I totally do. They are a specific kind of busy that's sort of like endless.
Med students are very busy too.
Yes.
Doctors in residency are very busy.
Right.
They
But I
basically
feel like
can't
they're
date
more
anyone but
busy
each other.
like at work, whereas law school students are just busy like holed up reading and writing.
Right.
I don't know. But yeah,
Right.
they are
Right.
both always busy.
Yeah. Can't wait to read it. Does that
Sounds
sound good
great.
for our next book?
Sounds awesome. Let's do it.
Yeah, The Perfect Match by Jennifer Wilk. So I am very curious because the rest of them sound like they're like thrillers.
Huh.
The Perfect Secret and The Perfect Deception.
Right, just those titles do, totally. And I like that it's new adult. That's like that's cool that that all came together.
I know.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our next book. Read along with us. Follow us on Instagram. Leave us a review. Share this with your friends. I think the Rip Bodice is going to post tickets to the event like this week, so
Awesome.
check out their website. We'll post on our Instagram when they're live, but get your tickets, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thanks, Rach.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.